We're joined on the Talk Back this evening by Dr. Kris Brickman from the University of Toledo Medical Center, and obviously the big story of the day is carbon monoxide with the incident here in Toledo. I want to bring you in for a medical perspective. Is there anything that people in their homes can do to suspect that there's carbon monoxide in their home?
Well, the most obvious thing is get a carbon monoxide detector. You know, they have these detectors, they're really cheap, cost a couple bucks, put it on the wall. If it turns colors, you have a problem. So far and away, the easiest way to check is there. You know, the issue is, you know, with carbon monoxide is you can't smell it.
Can't smell it?
Yep.
Can't taste it, can't,
yeah.
I mean, nothing. It's
colorless. The other sign to just keep aware of is if you got some kind of slow leak. Carbon monoxide comes from smoke, gas, any number of different propane type of fuels that could be leaking out into the environment. And normally in a house situation, it's kind of insidious. It develops over a longer period of time. Mm-hmm. So if you notice that everybody in the family is kind of getting a headache, not feeling good, you get outside and you feel better, and then you get sick when you go back, it kind of gives you a clue something's going on there too, that you ought to get it checked out.
Okay, so I mean, if you feel like maybe you just have the general flu or the general cold, from what you're saying, the biggest difference is when you go outside, maybe when you go to school, maybe when you go to the store, you feel great, much better.
That's exactly it. That's the classic carbon monoxide, again, the insidious, more of the slowly progressive carbon monoxide poisoning that happens to people commonly in these homes, is you just notice that, you know, everybody when they get up in the morning just doesn't feel good, just a little nauseated, a little bit dizzy, kind of has a headache, you know, just flu symptoms. You know, quite frankly, it's not much different than the flu, but the difference is just as you said, Sean, you go outside for several hours and it seems to go away. You feel better. You feel okay. You go back, you sleep all night, you feel sick again the next day.
Okay, so and now when you have cases maybe that come into the ER or you hear about cases, does it tend to affect older people, younger people, or does it play no favorites essentially?
Well, technically it doesn't play any favorites because obviously it's going to affect everybody the same. You know, I have to tell you, we see it much more commonly in older people. The reason why is older people during the winter. I will say this is clearly a winter phenomenon for the most part.
Right.
Because it's a type of thing where older people a lot of times are trying to save money. They turn the thermostat way down and then they'll turn on some kerosene heater, you know, in their bedroom. And they'll try to get by, you know, using some sort of gas type of device to heat their room or heat their building, heat the floor, and that's what slowly leaks out over a period of time. Often these things are older, and so that tends to be why we see it in older people.
Okay, do you see people coming in usually that have like the onset that maybe it's about to get more serious of an effect? Is that what you see when they come in?
Well,
or is it more the beginning stages?
I have to tell you, commonly as an emergency physician, you pretty much have two types. When it comes to carbon monoxide, you have an acute carbon monoxide poisoning, so to speak, where it could be smoke inhalation, it could be, again, the gas thing, where it's catastrophic. I mean, you're talking about confused seizures, dizziness, and that brings them to the emergency department because they're truly very, very ill. Mm-hmm. Carbon monoxide is just one of many things that we're trying to sort out in that situation. Again, the more difficult thing is this chronic exposure, and I'll tell you right now, you know, we probably miss most of those, I would venture to say, because, again, they come in typically with flu-like symptoms, and normally they're not paying attention often that it tends to go away, you know.
And they may not say, oh, I've been running the kerosene heater.
Exactly, and we
because
don't get that.
Because they don't think that would affect it.
Yeah, particularly during the winter, how many people come into my emergency department complaining of flu symptoms? Quite frankly, it's about 50, you know, a day. So I'm not necessarily thinking carbon monoxide most of the time. So unless somebody gives us a clue, I got to tell you, commonly it's not on the question list. If you constantly just say, I just kind of ache all over, don't feel good, a little nauseated, a little dizzy, and I got a headache, that's kind of flu to us. And so it's only when we start digging deeper, or that patients come back, and that's where we tend to pick that chronic thing up, is we get that patient and or the family is back for the second or third time and doc's not getting any better. And then you start asking the right questions. Okay. Well, what do you heat in your house with?
Right.
Does this get any better when you leave the home?
Right, so people need to really be observant of those telltale signs. Dr.
Exactly.
Brickman, we thank you very much for your time for the University of Toledo Medical Center, and that's your Talk Back.